Good afternoon, third graders. Welcome to another day of lunchtime reading. We are going to finish our story about Gawain and the Green Knight. Now, you may have noticed that I changed the way I pronounced Gawain to Gawain. And that is because my son, who is a literature teacher in Texas at a classical school, and who reads this book, the bigger version of it, told me, Mom, his name is pronounced Gawain and the Green Knight, so we're changing it to Gawain. Okay. Now, before I finish the story, I wanted you last week to be thinking about Gawain and his and the things that control him on this journey. Remember, he has this quest that he must follow through with, and that is to meet the Green Knight at the Green Chapel in the forest a year and a day later. Because he already had his chance to kill the Green Knight and it didn't work, so now the Green Knight gets to have a swing of the axe at Gawain. And Gawain is not excited about this because he knows, he's pretty sure he's gonna die. Okay, but because of his honor, because of the code of chivalry that the knights of Sir Arthur's court had, he is going to finish this quest. Okay, now, so we're thinking and we're reading a lot about Gawain and his choices and what he's choosing to do. Now, we think it's noble of him that he's going to finish this quest, this challenge, right? We think it's very noble that he's doing it. He's not a coward. He's not running away, right? But now he is with a host and his wife, and he's not making some great choices, right? He now received this green belt from the lady of the house, and she tells him that it will save his life if he keeps it on, and that nothing can harm him if he keeps this belt on. So he takes it. Now, it was a gift that he had received, which, remember, he had made a pact with the host of this house that anything he received during the day, he would give to his host at night. Remember that part? And anything that the host received during the day when he went hunting, he would in turn give that to Gawain. Well, the host has been doing his part, but Gawain did not do his part. He did not give this green belt to his host or say anything about it. So he deceived him. And here you can see that he's being directed by fear. He doesn't want to lose his life, does he? He doesn't want to die. So he is taking that belt with him and not giving it to his host, which was part of his pact. Okay, I want to read you a verse before I finish the story, and I want you to think about this verse as we read about Gawain and what happens. Okay, it comes from Matthew chapter 16, verse 25. And Jesus says to his disciples, whoever wants to save their life, okay, anyone who wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will find it. So whoever loses their life for Jesus, gives up their life for Jesus, just surrenders everything to him, that's when they will have life. But if they are afraid and they want to hang on to their life and not give it over to the Lord, then they will eventually lose it. So let's see what Sir Gawain does. All right. I'm going to back up here. This is the host, and this was the third day, and he says to Gawain after he came back from hunting that day, he says, I'm sorry that all I have for you is this puny fox. It's not much compared to your 3 kisses. Remember, Gawain gave him the 3 kisses. But Gawain did not give him the green belt. Enough, said Gawain, we have completed our pact. But he said nothing of the magical belt he had won. That night the feast was merrier than ever before, and it was with a heavy heart that Gawain set out the next morning. A wild wind whipped across the land, and sleet battered the ground as Sir Gawain rode away from the castle. Hidden beneath his armor, he wore the silken green belt. An old servant led the way until they came to the edge of a forest. "Gawain, you are close to the chapel that you seek," the old man said. "But the place you are going is perilous indeed. There lives a wild man who loves murder more than he loves his own life. If you find him, he will kill you. Take another road, sire. I swear I won't tell a soul." "Thank you," Gawain said. "Your words are kindly meant, but I must be true to my vow." So Gawain rode away into the forest, and soon he came to a bleak-looking valley with cliffs on both sides and reached up into the sky like jagged, that reached up. I'm going to back up. So Gawain rode into the forest, and soon he came to a bleak-looking valley with cliffs on both sides that reached up into the sky like jagged teeth. The green chapel was nowhere to be seen. Instead, ahead of him was an old cave covered with moss. As Gawain walked up to it, he heard a sound that made his blood run cold. It was the sound of metal being scraped across stone. "Are you there?" Gawain shouted to the echoing cliffs. "I've come to honor my pact. You had better be quick. It's now or never." "Wait," came a voice from beyond the cliffs. "You'll soon get what I promised you." Eventually, the grinding stopped, and a moment later, the Green Knight came charging out of a dark hole in the cliffs with the axe held high above his head. He leaped down to where Gawain was standing. "Welcome, Gawain, after all your wandering," he roared. "You know the vow between us." Excuse me. "Last year I took your blow. Now I have one to give you in return. So take off your helmet and kneel before me. Show no more fear than I did when I gladly lowered my head and you severed it with one blow." "I will not hesitate," Gawain replied, though all the color had drained from his face. He knelt down, and the knight lifted the axe. With all his strength, he aimed a savage blow. If the axe had met Gawain's neck, he would surely have been a dead man. But Gawain shrank back, and the axe hacked through the snow and bit into the ground beneath. "Call yourself brave," the Green Knight snarled. "Call yourself honorable. I didn't so much as blink when you struck me. I've never met such a cowardly knight." "I flinched at first, but I will not fail," Sir Gawain said defiantly. "Try me again. I will not move, I swear. Deal me my destiny." Then Gawain knelt and shut his eyes, knowing his life had reached its end. "Take this!" the knight roared as he raised the axe and sliced down through the air. But the axe stopped dead, hovering just an inch above Gawain's bare neck. Under the axe, Gawain was as still as a stone. "Now you've shown a bit of courage. I'll dispatch you properly," the Green Knight said. "Then get hacking," growled Gawain. "Your threats mean nothing to me." "By God, I'll slice off your head right now." The Green Knight heaved the axe high in the air and let it drop. But at the last moment, he veered away, and Gawain was left with just a nick in the side of his neck. A splash of bright red blood stained the snow. Gawain leaped to his feet, grabbed his spear, thrust on his helmet, and turned to face his enemy. "You've had your swing now," he shouted. "I've taken one blow without hitting back. Try me again, and I'll attack you." The Green Knight stepped back and looked Gawain up and down. He saw how light he was on his feet, how proudly he held his sword. "Be a little less bold, young man," he said calmly. I've done nothing more than what we agreed in the court of King Arthur. I promised you one strike, and I've dealt it. If I'd wanted to slice off your head with a single blow, I could have. My first blow missed you. That was only fair, in keeping with the contract we made that first night, when you promised to give up all you won to me. At these words, Gawain felt as if he might faint to the ground. Then I missed you again, for the following day you kissed my wife on the cheek and then kissed me. Twice you told me the truth, and twice I left you unscathed. The third time you strayed, and so you felt my blade. Now Gawain's face was burning with shame. The belt you wear beneath your armor is mine, the knight said. It was woven by my wife, and so I know it well. I sent her to test your loyalty and found you to be the most faultless fellow on earth. Your only fault was that you loved your life. Sir Gawain stood there for what seemed like an eternity. Then he took the belt from around his waist and flung it to the ground. A curse on greed and fear. They breed villainy and destroy virtue, he shouted. I was afraid of the axe. My fear made me forget the loyalty, which every knight knows. Tell me, how can I clear the name I have shamed? Your confession is enough, the Green Knight replied. I declare you are as innocent as the day you were born. Please, take the belt and wear it to remember our meeting. Now, come with me to my castle where a feast awaits us. Thank you, said Gawain. I've stayed here long enough, but I will wear this belt as a sign of my weakness. He jumped up onto his horse. One more thing before you go, good sir. What is your name? My name is Bertilac de Hautdesert, the Green Knight said. It was my guest, Morgan Le Fay, who dreamed up this plan. I believe she expected you to stray and lose your life. So Gawain bade the knight goodbye and rode away, and he went on many more adventures before he came back to Camelot. Upon his return, Gawain told his tale before the whole court, still ashamed of his weakness. But Gawain, King Arthur protested, this story shows your strength as much as your weakness. Still, I will wear the green belt forevermore to remind me of what happened, Gawain said. The other knights of the Round Table promised that they too would wear green belts under their armor as a sign of their union with Gawain. His strength was their strength, and his weakness their weakness. The end of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. One more thing I want to leave you with is that when we give our lives to Christ, when we lay them down and not let fear make our decisions for us, Christ has promised to give us his strength. In Philippians 4:13, I believe, it says that when I am weak, then he is strong. And so we have Christ's strength to always depend on when we're weak or when we're fearful or afraid or feel insignificant. We always have Christ's strength. So remember that. I hope that you enjoyed the story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. All right, you third graders, have a great day.